Hello everybody, this is Michael from the Board Games Chronicle. Today I have a special material for you. I would like to discuss about the recommendation for incoming Christmas season. This Christmas will be different, just like the ones a year ago from what we are used to, mainly due to widespread pandemic and all those restrictions. Still, with the great games, I think we can do a lot of good to our beloved ones and also, to our friends and families. That is why I still would like to focus on some recommendations which I have for you for this great moments which we'll have at the end of December. I created the article about my recommendations, but I know that some of my readers and some of my followers would like to have also this in kind of a movie. So today I'm going to do the recommendations for Christmas 2021, and we'll focus and we'll base this movie only on the recent releases from the current year. This will be Atlantic Chase, this will be Successors, and this will be Soldiers in Postmen Universe. So without further delay, let us move to the details of those games. I will start with my top one recommendation, Atlantic Chase, a design by Jeremy White. What's this game about? We have here the, let's say, war between Germany and Britain on the high seas, represented by the system of trajectories and very interesting rules, which allows you to, a great extent, I would say, reflect how those engagements were fought. So this is the game focusing on the clashes between 1939 and 1942, mainly on Atlantic Oceans. It will use the trajectories, which you will be building on the strategic map, the trajectories which shows the beginning and the end of the fleet route, which will be, of course, intersecting one another with enemies, where both enemy and you will not have a full information exactly where your troops are, where your ships are. We have beautiful components. I bought special trays for them, so can keep them here. We have German ships, we have some French ships, a few of the American ships, and a lot of British ones. Yeah, you can see them pretty clearly. They will be used mainly on this part of the board, the tactical board, because whatever will be happening on this main board will also, if we have an engagement, will move to this tactical board. We have some what I love about this game and why I'm recommending this is due to the couple of reasons. Let me start first and foremost with here it is, tutorial. Yeah, tutorial has a separate book, 42, even more than 42 pages, like 10 missions, which guide you through all the rules. Rarely ever I've seen such detailed approach to learning and training the players. We go through all the main rules here. You see the references to the rule book, where to find a particular rule. And we have, you can set this, let's say, small operation on the map here. You can try to resolve it, and then you will have the actual resolutions. So you see, we have, for example, T3, where we have some setup of a game, and then we have some possible outcomes. What is interesting, all those tutorials, this is the outcomes, yeah. All those tutorials can be played as a regular scenarios with your friend or solitaire. So I'm really touched by the approach. We have a lot of pictures, a lot of examples, and how does it work? I love this tutorial book. Then, another important part about Atlantic Chase and why I'm recommending this, that you have a lot of modes of play. Yeah. First of all, you have a campaign, strategic map campaign for 2 players. It will cover some introductions. I will go to this in a moment, and some additional deeper level battles. The rule book, just as in case of tutorial book, is really nicely written, a large font, a lot of examples, each and every, let's say, element clearly on one page. It's not that you have, for example, time lapse here, and I don't know what do we have, Intel markers on the same page. No, each and every element has a separate page. Really, really good. Then what we have, yes, 2-player scenarios, and we have a lot of them. We have scenarios which pertain, for example, to Norway campaign. We have some scenarios after the Norway campaign. We have those which are at the beginning of the war, so 1939 even, Graf Spee, for example. All of them really nicely described. There are some special rules to these groups of scenarios, for example, when landing in Norway or when playing those initial scenarios. As you can see, there is a setup always, there are victory points for this, tons of information, and always we should have a historical outcome, so you can check how did it finished. Last but not least, solitary scenarios. There is a whole book of solitary scenarios where you can play them in groups. Yeah, so blockade scenarios, Norway, breakout, and Arctic. Yeah, ones. They have. Let me show you an example. Like blockade 1. They have, of course, the description, and they have a pretty robust table of actions by your enemy, depending on the situation on the map and die roll. There could be some ambiguities from time to time, but all in all, this is really, really nicely prepared solitary scenario mode. I played most of them, spent countless hours on this. And my latest discovery about Atlantic chains are advanced battle rules. Guys, here we have the battles between the ships, the tactical ones. Yeah, you can play them in the regular, normal way as per the regular rules, but you can also use the advanced battle rules. And gosh, it brings so much fun, so much additional depth. I think I recorded like 6 or 7 movies just from those battles. So I strongly encourage you guys to try those. They are great. They are in this solitary scenario rulebook, I think. Or no, in a different one, in the 2-player. Yeah, mini scenarios. They would be here. You can play them with 2 players. You can play them also solitary. They are here. Yeah, exactly. Only on the tactical map. So this is really fantastic what this game brings. To sum up, Atlantic Chase would be a great and fantastic present for your beloved ones. The first edition has sold out pretty quickly. The second edition is on its way, and I think the GMT will publish it pretty soon. So if you think about getting it for this December, you can take it secondhand. I saw a lot of options to buy it on eBay, on the Boardgame Geek, and other sources. Do not be afraid to buy this first edition thinking, okay, I will need tons and tons of errata. No, there are some typos, there are some errors, of course, for example, in tutorial and a couple in rules, but all in all, this is perfectly prepared game for so much content, so many modes, so many rule books. I would say this is really, really error proof. So highly recommended for this Christmas. My second recommendation will be, of course, Successors from Phalanx. This is the 4th edition already of a great game by Mark Simonich. There are some updates to what we had in previous editions, but most visibly evident are the graphics, are the miniatures, and so on. But before we go into the game details, short historical background and what's the game about. You see, we all know that Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire and was probably one of the greatest generals in the history. But what few know is that the time just after he died, around 20 years, of so-called Successor or Diadochi Wars, was one of the most fascinating periods in the history of our civilization. The battles fought there, the political intrigues, the clashes and fight for legitimacy and also for the power was, I would say, without comparison. The sides which were fighting here were friends and compatriots, I don't know, a year or 2 years ago, and then bitter enemies. On both sides, we have a superb forces of a phalanx, of a companion cavalry, of a special infantries, of the light troops. So those battles were also very close. The Successors gives us the taste of this, but stays on the strategic level. As you can see, we have Asia Minor, Greece. We have also the Far Asia and Egypt and Africa, where the game takes place. What games brings are the fantastic miniatures of the generals. You can paint them. I didn't do it. I don't have skill to do it, but the miniatures are really, really nicely done. If you are not very fond of them, you can always use the tokens, yeah, for the generals. Let's just show you some of them. Yeah, with the standees, but to be quite honest, I'd rather use those circle standees for them to place them on the map and play with them. I did a couple of videos, of course, of this game to present how does it play, what's the flow, and what are its key strengths. What I would like to draw your attention to are also Taika cards. So this is a card-driven game. Each player has around 5 cards per each turn, and each card can be played as an operations point, as an event, and the bonus cards can be played as operations as an event. There are some cards, military cards, which are used during the battles or some hostile engagements. Here are the cards for the factions, yeah, and they are oversized. They are much larger than in the previous versions. Really nice looking and easy to read. So definitely, from the aesthetical point of view, beautiful game. What else do we have? I actually have a Kickstarter specials for the Ring of Usurper and for the Siege Tower. You can win the game in 2 ways. You can win by gaining 18 legitimacy. Main way to do it is to bring the tomb of the Alexander from Babylon up to Pella in Macedon. And the second way is to simply be the strongest. So depending on the number of players, to have 20, 23, 26, or 29 points. The game can be played from 2 to 5 players, as you can see. And what I would like also to draw your attention to are 2 things. Yeah, you have, of course, the full setup. It's like 5-turn setup for this game. It is here. Yeah. And in this setup, depending on the number of players, you have various dispositions of generals, yeah, like here. Fine. But you don't always have a time to play the full campaign of 5 years. It takes time. So what we have here in this edition are scenarios. And the scenarios are from 2 to 5. Let me just move through the example of play. Yeah. So we have a scenarios for, and they are really nicely connected to the historical events. We have 2 players scenario, which was the first war of Diadochi. You have a setup here, and it lasts only one turn. 5 cards to be played. A perfect solution if you don't have enough time to play this game, and you would like to play a small scenario. The same for the 3-player scenario, 4th player, and you have even the 5-player scenario. I already tried a couple of them, 2 and 3. I need still to bring the 4 and 5 to play with my friends, but definitely the games which have a lot of modes to play, just like Atlantic Chase, just like Successors, where you can play a large, long campaigns, but also a short scenarios, which does not take so much time, are really the ones which much often are put to the table by us, because simply you don't always have so much time as you would like to. To sum up, the new edition of Successors, version 4, is a great game. I know that for some of you who order this game, the fulfillment has not yet happened. I hope it will really be. For those who doesn't have this game, the solution to get it for this December is only from second hand. There are some offers on eBay and on Boardgame Geek to get it. It's pity that due to the widespread problems with the transport, not the whole orders were fulfilled so far. Still, if you have a chance to get it, even as a Christmas present, which will arrive in 3 months, please consider doing this. It's a really good game. It's a really beautiful game. The only thing which I could say that potentially can be improved is the battle resolution. I don't like this system where the battles are so bloody and so decisive that can put you out of a game for one turn. On the other hand, with 3 or 4 generals, it's not so painful, but with 2 generals, it definitely is. In Hannibal and Hamilcar, which was also published in a new version by the Phalanx, we have this battle resolution, which is not so bloody and is a game within a game rather than the dice roll. So this is one thing which potentially, maybe by the fans, will be improved. Anyhow, strongly recommended as a game and also as a present. The third game, which I will put in my recommendation, would be a solitaire game. I know that many of you really like and appreciate such designs. And here we have the 3rd installment in Valiant Defense series by David Thompson, Soldiers in Postmen uniforms. This was published in 2021, and as per the rules of this movie, we are only recommending the games from this year. But if you had a chance to get and familiarize with previous installments of the series, so Castle Eater and Pavlov's House, I strongly recommend it. Soon, in a couple of weeks, we will have a Kickstarter for the 4th installment, Lanzeraf Reach, for which I was a playtester, and we have a possibility to share some material with you guys. But for today, let's focus on this game. I would not deny this is a special game for me. Soldiers in Postmen uniforms tells the story of a valiant defense of a Polish postal office in Danzig, today's Gdańsk, on the September 1st, 1939, on the first day of the Second World War. We'll be playing as a valiant defenders who has their names here as per history. Those are the trained, those are the postal workers. And they will be defending against the really great odds of the Germans, attacking with infantry guns, submachine gunners, machine guns, SS troops. So they will really face dire odds, but will be able to hold for the whole day despite such a forced attack, and only surrender when the basement and actually the whole building will be doused with a gasoline and set on fire. As if with every Valiant Defense game, we'll be playing via decks of cards like morning, midday, and evening. Yeah, I have them here. And each card, let me just put some of them here, will activate German side. For example, to place a submachine gunner, to place the machine gun or emplace it and attack. Then, with the time, leaders are also here and grenade bundles to enter the building. With the time, they will have more and more difficult cards, like Howitzer, which devastates the upper floor and then goes to the ground floor and then can even reach the basement. Yes, we will have like 6 turns per each attack phase. 3 attack phases, as I said, morning, midday, evening. In each of those phases, like 5 German cards. Oh, this card actually ends the game. You see SS troops here. The third phase is the most brutal. During the turn, we play the 5 cards of the Germans, and then we have 4 moves by defenders and 4 actions by defenders. Here is the map of the surroundings of a post with approaches to it, and these are the actual floors. How to read it? For example, you can see this is the upper floor, this overlooking that way, the red part overlooking that way. So this is here. Yeah. It took me some time to grasp the direction, but it was pretty quick. I can recommend this game at least for a couple of reasons. First of all, it has a lot of modes. You can play the regular game, you can play the veteran or elite levels. To make the game more difficult, we have tactics card which add additional difficulty level, like additional dice to the attackers, additional troops to be placed, or maybe easy to make a breach within the building much easier. You can also make it more difficult by placing more difficult to deal with set of initial troops, because at the beginning of the game you set some of the troops here, and you can place not riflemen but maybe submachine gunners, for example. One comment regarding the cooperative mode. Yeah, you can play in cooperation. It's not so suitable like Pavlov's house, where you have clearly strategic, tactical, and operational levels and can divide it. There is no competitive mode, and I'm really thankful to David Thompson for this. Usually in those games, Valiant Defense, both sides behave, let's say, in civilized way. In this case, it was not the situation. So there is no way to play as the side who simply burned people alive, use gasoline and other ways of breaking the resistance of the defenders, which are, of course, against all human rights. So we don't have a competitive mode. You cannot play as Germans in this game, unlike in Pavlov's house or Castle Either. All in all, this is pretty interesting game, replayable with difficult modes, and you can increase this difficulty gradually. A great addition to Valiant Defense series. Strongly recommended. You can easily get it from the DVG webpage and get it still on Christmas. Okay, to sum up, all 3 titles are very interesting in its own respect, describe the historical events of a great impact for our civilization history and for the individuals. You can play them really well solitaire, especially Sipu and Atlantic Chase. You can play in a large group, like with 5 players in Successors. They were published in 2021. Some of them can be still purchased from the publisher website. Some can be get only the second hand. All of them are highly recommended by me. If you would like to learn more about those titles, see how they play, what the gameplay looks like, I strongly encourage you to watch the movies which I created about them. The links below in the description. Really, guys, wish you great time during this coming Christmas. Despite all the pandemic issues, COVID situation, I really wish you to have some time of rest with your family also with your beloved hobby, Wargames, to spend some time resting from the everyday's, stress and the high tempo. Use some time to be with your beloved ones and for your hobby. Thank you for today. I hope you liked this video. If so, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe so you can always get the most fresh news, information, or movies about the Wargames. Thank you, and bye for today.